Coming up today here on the Raiders Report, the can't miss Raiders news and quite frankly, the can't miss NFL news going into the Raiders Week 3 game against the Washington Commanders. My name is Mitchell Renz. Y'all are watching the Raiders Report, and anytime you're looking for free videos around the silver and black, make sure you hit that subscribe button. Now, I wouldn't be able to do today's show if it wasn't for our sponsor, Panda Supps, and today's show is sponsored by them. Use code Raiders for 25% off at pandasupps.com. Whether you need protein, BCAAs, or for me last night, I needed some stuff that would help me go to sleep. So I was able to get my hands on some of that good stuff. Now, what's interesting about this football game is you got the Raiders up against the Washington Commanders, and I don't know what those numbers are, but you can get those off screen. That'd be great. You got the Raiders who are 1-1, and then the Washington Commanders who are 1-1. Both teams that, quite frankly, lost last week's game. Both teams are looking for a response. You know, Washington, they went up against Green Bay, maybe the best team in the NFL. The Raiders, they went up against the Los Angeles Chargers. Right now, one of the best teams in the AFC. So I think that both of these teams are going to come into this game super motivated, super ready to rock and roll, but there are a lot of storylines that needs to be followed. And if you don't know why you should be live and watching us here on this program, we get pretty wild and crazy for watch parties. We go a little bit wild. So I know yesterday we had 199,000 people, we had 199,000 people pull up for our Week 1 watch party. For our Week 2 watch party, we had 256,000 people pull up for that watch party. I don't know how many people are going to pull up for Week 3, but if you bleed silver and black, I want you here because if you can't make it to the game, there's one place you should be and one place only. That's here on the Raiders Report. We also gave away close to $3,000, so I think that would help people be a little bit happier even in a Raiders loss. Let's go to the very first storyline here, and it is Jayden Daniels, quarterback for the Washington Commanders. Somebody who a lot of us talked about quite a bit back in 2024, but he is not only questionable, he looks actually doubtful with a knee sprain up against the silver and black, and this was a report that came out yesterday from Rap Sheet that said Commanders quarterback Jayden Daniels, who underwent an MRI following the loss of the Packers, was diagnosed with a sprained knee, per me and some guy that blocked me. Not a long-term injury, but Daniels' status this week versus the Raiders is in doubt. When you listen to a lot of the reports from people from the Washington Commanders, when you see a lot of reports in general, you do really see that there is a lack of confidence around Jayden, but I think there's also just the we want to play it safe. And the Washington Commanders, the old Redskins, do you remember a young quarterback that they had by the name of Robert Griffin III? And he had a little bit of a knee issue. They made him go out there on the field, and then basically his career was never the same. I can't imagine that they're going to go down that path again because Jayden Daniels is the best quarterback that this organization has had since Robert Griffin III. And I just think that there's going to be a little bit of a precaution, and I don't think that he's going to play this week. Now, maybe we get an extra update, and I'm recording this video on Tuesday. You guys are probably going to see this on a Wednesday, but I sit back and I go, if Jayden Daniels isn't able to play in this game, that is a huge win for the Raiders because, let's face it, Marcus Mariota ain't as good as Jayden Daniels. And if Mariota's going to be the starting quarterback out there, that's a QB that there's a lot of people on this team, they know him well. I know that Chip Kelly is the offensive coordinator, but Chip Kelly also knows Marcus Mariota very well. The offense that the Commanders are going to run is going to be much different. The only thing that scares me a little bit is I remember last season, I warned a lot of Raiders fans that Andy Dalton starting instead of Bryce Young is bad news for the Raiders. If you don't believe me, go out and check out that video. I want the Raiders to be prepared for Mariota. You can't sleepwalk into any game. But Jayden Daniels or Marcus Mariota, I'm going to take Mariota every single time for the Raiders. It helps us win that football game. Let's go to the second storyline going into Week 3. And this one is, in fact, around the Las Vegas Raiders. And it's, will the Raiders make the proper adjustments to the offensive line? I think if we roll out the same offensive line that we did this past week, then we're just going to be okay with mediocrity, and we're not okay to commitment to excellence, and we're not good at our jobs to be able to make those adjustments. Brendan Carroll, I'm looking at you. Pete Carroll, I'm looking at you to be a dad and talk to your son because we got to be able to figure out this run game. We got to be able to figure out the offensive line. The Raiders have given up 7 sacks. That is right now tied for the 4th most in the National Football League, and we give up 32 pressures. That right now is 6th most in the National Football League. If you want to know what offensive line I personally would go with going into this game against the Commanders, if Jackson Powers-Johnson is 100% healthy, I'm putting JPJ at center. I'm putting Jordan Meredith over at left guard, and I'm going to put Dylan Parham back on the right side because Parham right now on the left side looks absolutely atrocious, and also Meredith is more built to be a left guard instead of a right guard because he's a better protector, and I just think he would do better next to Kolton Miller. But to me, what drives me nuts sometimes is when coaches overcomplicate the simple. Jordan Meredith this season at center has not been very good. In 133 snaps, a 61.1 overall grade, which quite frankly I actually think is generous, a 47.0 pass blocking grade, a 66.0 run blocking grade. What's not on here, though, is he's got a costly fumble, and he's not great at snapping the football. He's throwing change-ups all over the place, and it's taking Geno's ability to continuously look down the field. But what I don't understand is Meredith, I get it. New coaching staff, new offensive line. You got a lot of new pieces. But Meredith was such a good 6th man on our offensive line rotation, and he played well last season as an offensive guard. He played in 574 snaps, an 80.8 overall grade, a 75.7 pass blocking grade, and a 78.4 run blocking grade. I was told by a source that the Raiders put Meredith at center because they're not 100% confident in Jackson Powers-Johnson's ability because of his, we'll call it, mental aspect of the game. They think Meredith is a lot smarter of a center, but my problem is Meredith is not as good of a center as Jackson Powers-Johnson. So instead of putting Meredith at a position that he's not as good at, and instead of putting JPJ in a position that he's not as good at, I believe JPJ can play any position on that line. And maybe he's not 100% healthy right now, but if Jackson Powers-Johnson is healthy, he's got to be the center. It's going to open up everything. And I do think it's only a matter of time before the Raiders go, you know what? This is the smarter thing to do. And what's really going to drive me nuts and what's really going to drive a lot of Raider fans nuts is we know that this team's going to be better with JPJ at center. And the amount of times that Raiders coaches and the Raiders staff does things that's not the smartest thing, it's annoying and it gets old. So I'm asking you, make the proper adjustments. So if you haven't already hit that like button, if this doesn't make you hit that like button, I'm not sure what's going to make you hit that like button. Hit that like button if you believe that Brennan Carroll should be on the hot seat. I know that I'm somebody that wants to believe in this staff. I know I'm somebody that I didn't want to jump to conclusions right now, but what I don't want to see is you doing the same thing over and over and over again. And right now, Brennan Carroll, our offensive line coach and our run game coordinator, might be the worst coach that we have on this team. I get it, he's Pete's kid. You can say nepotism. I think it's a fair word to use right now. But to me, we're never going to achieve the goals that we have unless this guy figures it out and unless somebody makes him figure it out. And if I got to be the one that gets loud about it, I'm going to get loud. I have added Pete on social media. I'm starting to come at Brennan. I'm going to bring that energy because if I got to watch this offensive line look the way that it's been for the rest of the season, it's going to get worse and worse and worse for you, Brennan. So let's make the proper corrections right now. Let's go to this third storyline here, and this one's going to be around Ashton Jeanty. And if you like stats, I got some good stats coming up for you. Will the Raiders use Ashton Jeanty correctly, / are they going to make him a priority? Do y'all remember you drafted him at number 6 overall? Do y'all remember all the communication this offseason, how much we were going to run the football, how we're going to make it a focal point? What happened to that plan? How has that plan already been crumbled up and thrown out the window? It's coming up here on this show. I got some must-see, and I mean it, must-see Ashton Jeanty stats that are going to silence the doubters, and it's going to show that he's not the one to blame. It's the offensive line. It's the flipping play calling, which has been the issues for number 2. Now, I also have been seeing people out there going, Mitch, I feel like Jeanty looks small. Jeanty's not a very big guy in terms of stature, but he's a bowling ball in terms of a human being. He did try to lose a few pounds to add a little bit more speed, but he's still able to truck guys. And I bring that up because if you're somebody out there that's trying to slim down, or maybe you're trying to bulk up a little bit, use code Raiders for 25% off at pandasups.com. It's going to be the best workout supplements on the market. Whether you're looking for protein, whether you're looking for some brand new protein, which, by the way, their new protein, this peanut butter cookie one, it's, I'm telling you right now, really, really flipping good. I had some the other day. Now, again, I love coffee, so I actually mixed it with coffee, which Alex was like, that's kind of gross. It was phenomenal. The brownie, also very good, and you get 30 grams of protein, 110, 120 calories per scoop, 0 grams of added sugar. The toasted honey graham also is one of their brand new flavors, and here's the thing. There's so many different things that you can get at Panda Sups, whatever is best for you, whether it's pre-workout, whether it's the greens, whether it's a nootropic, whether it is a thermogenic to help you burn a little bit of fat. Football season, I put on weight. It's just what happens, right? We have beers, we get a little bit rowdy on the show, and when you get home at 3 o'clock at night on midnight, you don't always eat the best. It's just the truth. Panda Sups helps me stay focused, helps me lock in, and when I wake up after a tough Monday Night Football loss, I take a scoop of my BCAAs, and I go into work because it helps me stay hydrated to be the best version of myself that I can be for Raider Nation. So, pandasups.com, code Raiders, 25% off. That link is going to be available to y'all down in the comments, down in the description of today's show. Huge, huge shout out to Panda for always rocking with us here and for always hooking up the nation with the best deals out there. All right, let's go to some of these Ashton Jeanty stats. And this was something that I wanted to be able to spend some time on today. And I took a little bit of a deep dive in Jeanty because let's face the facts here. He needs some help. He's got 30 carries, 81 yards, 1 touchdown, a long of 13, which happened this past week after he trucked somebody. And he's averaging 2.7 yards per carry. It's not good, right? You're going to have some people that are going to blame Jeanty, and then you're going to have other people out there that are going to sit back and go, you know what? I actually don't think Ashton Jeanty is the main issue. And I'm saying this because he needs help because he's doing everything he can right now. I mean, look at these numbers here. He had -6 rushing yards before contact in week 1 and only 3 yards in week 2 versus the Chargers. Those are yards before contact. There are some running backs in the NFL that have already over 100 yards before contact. Why? Because their offensive lines actually block for him. What about these numbers? He's got 81 rushing yards this season and 84 yards after contact. I don't know if I've ever seen numbers this bad from an offensive line standpoint. What about the fact that he has 3 receiving yards and 26 receiving yards after the catch? Do that math in your head. That tells me that the Raiders are throwing him the football 5-6 yards behind the line of scrimmage, which is what they're doing. He's got to make 2 guys miss. He's got to get back to the line of scrimmage. You're not giving him the best ability out. You're just not allowing him to be the best version of himself overall. Now, from a more perspective of how much he needs help, his PFF elusive rating right now, it currently ranks 14th in the NFL. There are 21 players with 30-plus touches so far. Out of those 21 players, Jeanty ranks 4th in PFF's elusive rating. So, out of the players that have those 30-plus touches, he is the 4th most elusive running back. Think about that stat for the love of God, because he's not putting up the numbers of the 4th most elusive back, but because he's got to make all these guys miss, you're not actually seeing his true potential. But if you thought that that was my only stat, no, we got another one coming in here, and this one might be the most jarring of them all, because I get he's not getting all the yards, and I get that he can be better. I know that it can be better, but right now there are 54 running backs with 10-plus carries in the NFL. Jeanty ranks 54th, last, with -0.1 yards before contact. I want you to think about that because all that shows is this, that Jeanty is getting hit in the backfield, the offensive line is not blocking, and it's the worst in the NFL. The problem and the frustration today for a lot of Raiders fans and the frustration right now around Jeanty is, I don't think it's so much of Jeanty because I personally don't doubt Jeanty's talent. And I think if you're doubting Jeanty's talent, you're probably just a box score warrior, and I would subscribe to the Raiders Report so you're a smarter Raiders fan. But at the same time, when you watch the tape and you watch it, it's just so clearly the Raiders aren't using Ashton Jeanty correctly, and they're also not changing anything up. They're not doing him any favors, and when you draft a running back at number 6 overall, with this production, you're just simply not getting your worth. And I want to get more worth out of number 2. So let me know down below here, who deserves the most blame for Ashton Jeanty's struggles? I'm not going to say what I would vote for. I want to know what you guys would vote for. And I want you to sound off in the comments, because right now, this is one of the biggest talking points around Raider Nation. Who deserves the most blame for Ashton Jeanty's struggles? Please let me know down below. Let's go to the fourth storyline here heading into week 3 against the Washington Commanders, and it's, is Brock Bowers 100% healthy? I say that because, yes, Bowers did play in that game, but he missed most of the practice time this past week, and I actually think it impacted the overall Raiders' ability and plan to scheme for the Chargers, and I think it impacted their plan to kind of get a little bit of continuity in there from top to bottom. Michael Mayer did end up getting the start over Bowers in week 2, and he ended up playing 54 snaps. That was only 77%. You know, the week before the injury, he was playing basically 100% of those snaps. My point is, having a healthy Bowers allows you to prepare the right way leading up to the game. Having a healthy Bowers allows you to do everything that you want to be able to do in your offense. Having a healthy Bowers opens up the entire playbook, and I don't want to risk it. Obviously, his health is the most important thing, but at the same time, I am hoping that we have the 100% healthy Bowers, because I want to see more 12 personnel. And I look at the Raiders' offense at 12 personnel in week 1 against the New England Patriots, and Geno Smith was 11-13, an 84.6% completion percentage, 185 yards, 144.4 passer rating, 62% of that was play action, and that's going to help Jeanty get it going. It's going to help the offensive line. It's going to help us in the red zone. From top to bottom, having a healthy Brock Bowers, it just totally changes the entire dynamic of this offense. Let's go to the final storyline, though, and this is this. How will Geno Smith and Chip Kelly respond? I don't have that answer. Only Chip and Geno know how they're going to respond. But right now, Geno Smith is tied for the most interceptions in the National Football League. And again, not all of these are on him, but he played really bad against the Chargers. There's no doubt about it. He tried to force the football. He didn't play well. But I also think that Chip Kelly deserves a lot of flack for how bad Geno played, for how bad the play calls were, for the lack of adjustments, for the, quite frankly, almost Josh McDaniels level of stubbornness of there's plays in front of you that you could take, but you're too stubborn to take those plays because you want to do what you want to do, and you want to keep throwing down the field and cover 2, even though they're taking that away from you. You got to be able to make adjustments, and good coaches do that. Geno had this to say after Monday Night Football, and I want this to marinate, and I want you guys to look at this. I've got to learn from it. You know what I mean? This game is all about learning from your experiences. This is a game, again, I've had similar games in the past where the ball is bounced in an unfortunate way, or decisions haven't been the best on a given play or the best throw. That's part of the game. But you can never just say you can flush it. You've got to learn from it. I'm going to be super hard on myself, extremely hard on myself, because that's all I know. I'm going to get better this week. I'm going to find ways to get better from here, and we're going to get better as a team as well. As a team captain, I need Geno Smith to respond. As the highest paid offensive coordinator in the NFL, I need Chip Kelly to respond. And quite frankly, we're going to learn a lot about our football team, and we're going to learn a lot about the guy that Pete Carroll pounded the table for and went out to get. Because I'll say this, I still believe in Chip Kelly. I still believe in Geno Smith. And one bad game doesn't mean that he's a bad quarterback. Yeah, it's right now there's a little bit of cloudy skies over the rainbows that we had after that Week 1 win against the New England Patriots. But at the same time, I want a quarterback that I go to battle for, right? I want a quarterback when we're in the huddle and it's a 2-minute drill and he looks at every single player in the eyes, that team knows, you know what? We're going to be okay, and we're going to rock. And I do think Geno is the best quarterback that this team has had in a very long time. But the way that they respond after that pitiful game on Monday Night Football, I think is going to tell us a lot about what type of nuts this team has. And guess what? I want a team that's got some nuts. I want a team that's got so much nuts that Sam Brown can't be anywhere near because that's how allergic he is. Nut-free table, you guys can go sit over there. I want all the nuts I can get for this Raiders table here. Now, if you don't know our live schedule this week, I am going to be live for Thursday Night Football, 7 p.m. Eastern Time, 4 p.m. Pacific. I got a text message from a guy that likes to bang on this show that said, Thursday's going to be wild. Buckle up, Buttercup. I hope Raider Nation's ready to go. Also, Raiders Commanders. It's all what we've been talking about today. If any news comes out on Jayden Daniels, I will do my best to keep you guys up to date. But this is a must-win football game. We will be going live 1 hour before this game starts. And because it's a noon kickoff, you can expect a lot of videos from me on Sunday leading into Monday. Make sure you're subscribed. Make sure those notifications are turned on. And if you don't know where to be on a Raiders game day, or if you don't know where to be on a Thursday night, subscribe to the Raiders Report because that's where you're supposed to be.